If you have watched any guides on how to rank up, most of those guides will have told you to start dodging games. This advice on its own is totally worthless. It needs further explanation, because you need to know exactly which games you should dodge now and which not. This is what I will break down for you today. There of course are obvious examples like a teammate stating that he will troll, but to really gain LP, you will dodge far more than this. The system I recommend is like card counting. We look at the 4 matchups, top, jungle, mid and bot, and for each winning matchup we add a 1, and for each losing matchup we take 1 away, starting at 0. Naturally, a 4 is a free win, and a -4 means a guaranteed lose, while a 0 is a coin flip. Remember, good matchups can still be lost, we talk about tendencies here, only. Okay, let's now look at some champion selections. Here we can see the matchups are Nasus versus Wukong, which is definitely Nasus' favorite because he will just be more useful even though Wukong has some AoE. The mid lane is Veigar vs Malzahar, where the Veigar just has more CC and more damage than the Malzahar. The jungle is Hecarim vs Willybeer, which is pretty much even and skill dependent. And bot lane is Zeri Pyke versus Yuumi Jhin, so that's basically Yuumi's very useful and Zeri's a total wild card, so we can't really say anything about that. So I would say it's a 2 positive, and definitely a matchup you should take. Okay, so in top lane you can see Akali versus Gwen, but if you look at the desktop overlay you see Akali's not very skilled at her champion, so we might not be very happy about this matchup, but actually it's not really favored for anybody. Jungle matchup on the other hand is Lee Sin versus Amumu, which is definitely Amumu favored, because it's low elo, so Amumu will be way better since he doesn't need to focus on mechanics. Also, mid lane is definitely Yone favored, because in Veigar vs Yone, Yone will start off stronger than Veigar and also outscale him, basically. Bot lane is Samira versus Swain, where Samira and Swain versus Jinx and Jenna, where Jenna will dominate the laning phase and Jinx will be more useful in team fights because of the frenzy. So you definitely want to dodge this one, because it's overall -3. Here you can see the matchup on top lane is Darius versus Camille, which is Darius favored. In the jungle you can see Diana versus Zac, which is pretty neutral, both scale good. Mid lane is Veigar versus Kassadin, so Kassadin has a big advantage here, you might wanna dodge it. And in the bot lane you can see Ezreal and Bard versus Thresh and Jinx, which is just gonna be getting outskilled by Jinx. And also there's the good thing, Ezreal can't really be killed in the laning phase because he can always eat a Thresh hook even after he already got hit. So it's a -1 in total, and you might wanna dodge it. You might ask, how do I know if it's a good matchup or a bad one? I can just recommend you to tell that by experience of playing that matchup yourself or seeing it play out, or you can also look it up. For example, with the desktop application Blitz.gg you can look it up using that application, but that's not a product placement. Special team comps might also be a certain dodge. For example, if your team is like having a Veigar mid lane, Kayle top lane and a Kindred jungle. The Kindred's counter jungling actions will just always go horrible, because Veigar and Kayle will never have lane priority to move if she needs help. So that's most likely a dodge as well if something this horribly occurs, or similar champs like those. Mostly you want to really dodge a lot in your first 50 games on an account per ranked season, because in those first 50 games your MMR will be raising much more than usually when you win. So you will be able to climb to really high ranks during your first 50 games, then the progress becomes more stagnant. Riot doesn't really like dodging that much, even though it's as important of a mechanic, just like micro or macro gameplay. The penalties are as follows. For your first dodge in a 24-hour window, you will get a 6-minute lever buster and minus 3 LP. For your second dodge, it's a 30 minutes leaving buster and a minus 10 LP. For your third dodge and every consequent dodge, it will be 12 hours lever buster and 10 LP minus. You will have your dodging penalty decreased by 1 tier every 12 hours, which is not really happening more than once, because in a 24-hour window it will be totally reset anyways. But as I said, it's only LP you lose. The MMR will not be lost whatsoever. No matter if it's a placement or a promotion game, you will not lose any MMR, and it's never a good idea to just risk it for the biscuit. So why is it so important to dodge games? Well, it's an advantage you have to utilize to compete with other players who have similar micro and macro skills like you, but abuse the dodging system. Now there are still a ton of players who are playing worse than you in every aspect, but dodging games, and those hold way higher ranks than you. So this crucial skill of dodging will really help you make the jump to high elo.